planning attorney and civil litigator who will fight to protect your property, your wishes, and your rights. With more than 10 years of legal experience, Attorney Williams is well equipped to help you prepare for and weather the storms of life. Her boutique firm focuses on simple and complex estate planning, Florida probate representation, guardianships, customized wills and trust, powers of attorney, living wills, and general civil litigation. Attorney Williams is down to earth, passionate about what she does, and has a keen ability to form a deep connection with her clients. Attorney Williams' years of concentration and development in these areas have prepared her to provide optimal legal services to meet your specific needs. Contact attorney Vernita C. Williams today to set up an appointment at 305 967 6741. That's 305 967 6741.
You are listening to the Ask the Experts show with host Steve-O. We will be right back with more experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Join us every Thursday from 6 p.m. Now, get ready for more Ask the Experts.
And we are back with the Ask the Expert show. Again, we're on every Monday and Thursday from 6 to 7. And just right there, tune in, 1470, or you can go to 96.9 FM, 95.3 FM, or you can actually listen to us on iHeart and just enter WWNN Radio. You know, we do a lot of shows, doing shows on Monday and Thursday. And listen, you know me long enough. We've been doing this for 7 years. I don't brag a lot on my experts, but our expert tonight, I could probably interview her for hours and not get tired of it. The way she breaks everything down. We're talking about estate planning tonight. And I feel we have one of the top estate planning attorneys, not just in Miami, not just in Broward, but also Palm Beach, because she can Zoom. You don't even have to be at her office. But let me introduce you to a superstar with our show, attorney Vernita Williams. Hi, Miss Williams.
Hi, how are you?
I love how you present everything. And before we get started, you're not only an attorney, you're an author. So would you please hold up your book and tell everybody a little bit about it?
This is my book. Hope you can see it.
Yes.
The title is Make a Will, Do It Right, or the one you don't like will end up with all your stuff.
So true.
And I wrote this book because after many, many years of experience, like more than a decade, I've seen situations where people meant well when they did certain things. And I've even seen situations where everybody knew what they wanted, but because it wasn't done perfectly, it wasn't done according to the Florida statute, a person's wishes could just be ignored by the court. I mean, the judge might look at you and say, I think I understand what was meant, but what you put together just doesn't cut the muster as far as getting it done that way. I'm very sorry, but I have to go by the law. I've heard that, and the judge was in pain, you know. So I put together some of the very classic mistakes in that book, and I have real life stories very interestingly presented. It's not a boring read, but I put the classic mistakes in there so that people can understand what not to do, mainly. So if you want a copy of this book, let me give you the phone number to call and give your name and email, and we'll reach out to you. Or you can give your name and phone number. We will contact you, get your mailing address, and we will send you a free copy of this book. The phone number is 786-831-9483. That's 786-831-9483.
Let me give everybody another reason to call that number. You might already have your estate planning done, but things change a lot. And you know what? With someone like Attorney Williams, it might not be such a bad idea to call her on the phone and say, you know what? I want a second opinion. Because you might find out that whoever did your estate planning left something off. Attorney Williams is not going to do that. Miss Williams, give everybody your phone number again so we can put it on the screen.
Okay, phone number is 786-831-9483. That's 786-831-9483.
And
not
we will
only
run it
that-
on the screen if you didn't get your pen or pencil in time. Well, there it is, right there.
Also, life happens. You might get married, you might have a child, you might get a grandchild, you might get a lottery winning, you might open a business, or you just ain't feeling the folk that you put in your will. You change your mind about them, you know.
How about a
So-
divorce?
Or you might get a divorce. Or there may be the death of a loved one that you listed in your estate plan. So I recommend to all of my clients that they review at least once a year. Sometimes I will send them a little reminder notice. Take a look at your estate plan, see if it's still the way you want it. If it is, good. If it's not, let's talk about in what way do you want to change it. So it's
And it
not-
doesn't matter where they're located at because you do a lot of Zooming now.
I do a lot of Zooming. The hearings in Dade County especially are by Zoom. The ones in Broward still Zoom. I think federal courts have opened where you can go to the actual building. But in many places in the state of Florida and other places, everything is still by Zoom.
Just out of curiosity, when you finished law school, did you know you were going to go into estate planning?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not.
Because you're so good at it.
I did not. I did some other areas of the law, and I settled on this area, which I liked very much. And so now I have cases, Dade County, Broward County, West Palm Beach, Hillsborough County, Leon County, Taylor County. Most of the counties in the state of Florida, I have or have done probate cases there.
Okay. So tonight we're going to talk about understanding and dealing with heirs' property problems. And there's a lot of information to go over tonight. So let's start off with an easy one. What is heirs' property?
Well, heirs property is a term that I learned from doing community seminars. When I first graduated from law school, nobody called anything heir property in law school. That was not in the law book. It wasn't in my classes. But people in the community taught me what heirs property was. Heirs property is property that was once owned by a person's parents or grandparents. When the original owner of the property died, nobody ever did probate to change the title from the deceased person. So there are some properties that have generation after generation after generation living in that property, but they've never done probate and actually taken the deceased name off of the property and put the property in the name of living heirs. That is a major problem in the South. In Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi, it's a big deal in those counties, in those particular states.
How could someone not do that, though?
Well, it's a matter of convenience. Let's say a person passed away 10 years ago,
Okay.
and that person had 5 children, and one of the 5 children was living with that person at the time that they passed away because the child was a caretaker. So after the parent passed away, let's say that caretaker child just continued to live there. And then after that caretaker child passed away, then maybe one of their children, who is the grandchild of the original owner, started living there. And when you go to an attorney and say, "Hey, my grandmother passed away 15 years ago, and my mom used to live in the house. Now I live in the house. What do I need to do?" Well, the attorney tells you what you need to do to get the property in the name of the living heirs, but there's a fee associated with that. So all too often, that fee is a deterrent, or or the fact that it has been so many years since the original owner passed away, and now that property may be owned by 5 or 10 or 15 or 20. I've probated properties that were owned by 20 people.
Wow.
So when you have that many owners, then there are many questions like, who's going to pay for the lawyer? Who's going to be in charge? And then maybe the person who is living there has no motivation to go do that and have all these people on the deed. So the one who is living there may not be motivated to deal with the problem, because why? They are comfortably there. They're not paying a mortgage. They may not even pay the property taxes. I've seen some families lose property for failure to pay the property taxes.
Wow.
So it's very easy to get that way. And this is a very common problem.
Is there any other common problems associated with heir property?
Well, let me tell you some of the common problems. Let's say the property is grandma's property. Grandma died 15, 20 years ago. This is South Florida. South Florida has plenty of hurricane threats. Let's say the hurricane comes in and blows the roof off of grandma's property. Well, FEMA would like to help, but FEMA will only help if the original owner on the deed can come and apply for FEMA. Well, the original owner died 15,
Is
20
dead,
years
right.
ago. Right. So when you have an heir property situation and the original owner has passed away long ago, there are a lot of problems. Number one, you can't get a mortgage to fix the roof because the original owner is deceased and you haven't done probate. Number two, you can't get FEMA help because the original owner is deceased and they're not here to do the application. Number three, if you got a family member in the property and that person should be paying rent to a general family bank account or something, it's hard to evict them because guess what? The eviction must be done by the owner, and the owner is deceased. All the person who's in the property needs to say, if somebody tried to evict them, is, well, the one trying to evict me is not the owner. They're not on the deed. So that eviction gets thrown out. So it's a lot of, okay, you can't, the family members who are co-owners because they're heirs, they can't really sell it because their names are not on the deed. So it's a lot of problems when you still have it in the name of the deceased owner. You can't fix the roof because you're not eligible to pull a roofing permit because you're not on the deed.
You know what? I don't think people think about that because God forbid, the way things are going with COVID, you could drop dead tomorrow, and you did not take care of things before because you didn't think you were going to die. And there's a lot of problems associated with that if they didn't take care of their business, their legal business.
And then, if somebody dies and somebody's living in the property and they're comfortable there, what incentive would they have to go hire a lawyer to put all these different people's name on title and then position themselves to have all these co-owners come and say, I'm in between jobs, I need to live here. It's mine just like it's yours, So there are big, big, big problems when the property remains in the original owner's name. But then there are some good things that you can do with the heir property as well.
So there's some advantages.
There are some advantages. Let's say grandma passed away 15 years ago. And let's say this family, grandma's heirs, have the insight and the mindset to maintain the property in good condition. They can rent it if they do what they need to do as far as probate and putting it in the name of heirs. They can rent it and collect the rent, and they can use the rent money to do repairs on the property, pay the property taxes, or they can use the rent money, just accumulate it and give it to family members who are going to college, family members who are trying to buy their first home, family members who want to start a business. Doing that kind of thing and using the heirs property as an advantage will require some leadership, some forethought, and some insight. Many times when families have this kind of situation, some family members think, well, why should we do all of that? I'm a family member, I just want to live there for free. But if they can get out of the let me live there for free mentality and rent the property, especially if the deceased person might have several properties.
Oh, that's right.
They might have several. Okay, so if a family, I'm probating cases where there are 3, 4, 5, and 6 properties that the deceased person left. So how would it help the family if they kept all 5 properties, if they rented all 5, if they created a family land trust and just put the money that's collected in the trust, pay the property taxes, pay the insurance, and accumulate the money to help the youth in their family go to college, help the youth in their family have a down payment for the first home, help the youth in their family do scholarships. It's a lot that can be done, but you got to think about heir property as something more than somewhere for you to live for free.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. If people should be learning so much tonight after just our first 15 minutes of the show, give everybody your phone number again. We're going to be going to break.
Phone number 786-831-9483, 786-831-9483.
And when we come back, let's show the book again when we come back, because it's such a great book. We're going to go to break, and we'll come back with attorney Vernita Williams.
At the law firm of Vernita C. Williams, Esquire, PA, you will find a South Florida estate planning attorney and civil litigator who will fight to protect your property, your wishes, and your rights. With more than 10 years of legal experience, Attorney Williams is well equipped to help you prepare for and weather the storms of life. Her boutique firm focuses on simple and complex estate planning, Florida probate representation, guardianships, customized wills and trust, powers of attorney, living wills, and general civil litigation. Attorney Williams is down to earth, passionate about what she does, and has a keen ability to form a deep connection with her clients. Attorney Williams' years of concentration and development in these areas have prepared her to provide optimal legal services to meet your specific needs. Contact attorney Vernita C. Williams today to set up an appointment at 305-967-6741. That's 305-967-6741.
Hey, folks, if you're just tuning in, this is the Ask the Expert show. We've been running now for almost 7 years here in South Florida. We're on 1470. We're on 96.9 FM, 95.3 FM. And if you want to listen to us on iHeartRadio, all you got to do is put in WWNN Boca. Freddie, don't you have to put the city in too? Or you just put the station? Okay, you don't put the city in. Okay. So we make it really easy for you to listen to the show. Tonight is one of my favorite shows. We're talking about estate planning, and we're actually talking about heirs, property problems, and advantages. And our attorney, our expert attorney, Vernita Williams, is also an author. And we know people tune in at all different times of the show. Miss Williams, please show your book.
Here is my book.
I love the name of it.
The title is Make a Will, Do It Right, or the one you don't like will end up with all your stuff.
How
And this
true
talks-
that is.
Yep, it is true. And
You've seen that a few
cases-
times, haven't you?
I've seen it more than a few times.
Okay, so we're talking about air property problems, and you know what? It's like Miss Williams said. She goes over with her clients once a year, and if you haven't sat down with anybody at least in a year, you want to give Miss Williams a call. What are some of the steps to solving air property problems? It just seems like there's going to be a lot of work for you to do. You got to untangle a lot of webs, don't you?
Well, sometimes any property where the original owner has died is considered heir property. So if the original owner has passed away and the family members need to do something to get the property out of the name of the deceased owner into the name of the heirs, then that is an heir property situation. Now, it becomes very difficult when you sit year after year, year after year, and don't do anything to put the property in the name of the living heirs. I've been contacted by people from all over the country about this. One family that contacted me had 100 acres that has been in their granddaddy's name, their granddaddy having lived 100 years ago. They never did probate.
Oh
They
my
just
gosh.
sat there. Yeah. So if in most instances, people will do probate a month, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, within a year of their loved one passing away. But in these very difficult, complicated situations, they're complicated because the family members sat there for decades and they never probated the property. They just passed it on to the next generation and just kept the property in the family. Eventually, when they want to do something, it's hard. Like some families with a lot of acres, they sell timber off of the land. And it's difficult to figure out who the timber company should enter into contract with because the only name on title is the deceased relative
Deceased.
from 50 years ago. So if you have an heir property situation that's been going on a year or 10 years or 20 years, first thing you need to do is establish who is the leader of this project. Who's the one that's going to do the research, find out the name and address for all the family members. So step one is establish who the leader is. Somebody's got to lead the effort. Somebody's got to do the research, pull the deed, do the family genealogical tree, meet with the lawyer, find
Do you
out
get
how much the
involved in
property's
that?
worth.
I mean, I can't. I said I would think that you would get involved in that because I could see a lot of fighting. Who's going to be doing that?
Well, here's the thing. I get involved in it, but even if I'm involved in it, there has to be a leader. There's got to be a personal representative of the estate. There's got to be someone responsible for doing the different components because that's only step one, establishing a leader. And yeah, a lot of times they will fight over who's the leader. And I can give them some insight about who the court is probably going to say the leader should be. Okay,
You don't
the
want that
statute
to happen,
would-
though, do you?
Well, in some instances, it has to happen because the person who owned the property didn't leave a will and say who the leader should be. So
Okay.
the court is going to have to determine it. But many times the court will say the leader is whoever the majority wants and whoever is most qualified and whoever does not have a felony conviction. In the state of Florida, if you have a felony conviction, it could be 30 or 40 years old, that conviction. But if you have a felony conviction, you cannot be the personal representative of an estate.
Got you. Okay.
So, step one, who's going to be the leader? Step two, get a copy of the deed. I cannot tell you how many times when people come to me and say, I want to probate granddaddy's property. That's granddaddy's property that he owned 20 years ago. And when I was a young lawyer, I went on their word. You said it's granddaddy's property. I probated granddaddy's property, and we put the property in granddaddy's grandchildren's name, only for me to find out that it wasn't granddaddy's property. It was granddaddy's brother's property. You see? So the way we do things in families a lot of times is the last child of the original owner may be the one who was living in the property.
Gotcha.
Anyway, whoever you think owned the property may not be the one that owned it. Pull the original deed and see who owns the property. I would say in about 20 or 30% of the cases, it's not who you think.
Wow.
Okay?
You know, Vernita, we're coming to the end. I don't want, if we can pick up, because you're going to be back with us again next month, I would really like to pick up because I've got so many more questions for you. And I want to get your phone number out there, which is 786-831-9483. And you've got to call that number if you'd like to get that book. It's a great book, folks. And if you just want to have Miss Williams give you a second opinion, you could only help yourself. But Miss Williams will be back with us again next month. But I saw we only have less than a minute away. What's your website, Miss Williams?
My website is vcwlaw.com. That is V as in victory, C as in cat, W as in water, law, LAW.com, vcwlaw.com. There on the website, you can get the book. But now, if you go there to the website, you're going to be charged for the book. But if you call my number, I will give you a courtesy copy of the book. But my website is vcwlaw.com, and you can find the book as well as other estate planning material there.
Okay. Well, I hope your husband doesn't get mad, but I love you. Thank you so much for coming on tonight, and we'll see you again next month.
All righty.
And we'll be back again on Thursday with more Ask the Experts. We'll see you soon. Everybody have a good week.
Thanks for listening to the Ask the Expert Show, featuring interviews with local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Call our office at 888-574-6999 to become one of our experts on the show. And tune in again next week for more Ask the Experts